Welcome to Kranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Kranky, and this is the Kranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Kranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Kranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Kranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Good evening. Can everyone out in YouTube land hear me? Big up Drew Ross, big up Chorus. I like how YouTube like to drop their advertisement in the middle of people's video. Bless up Chorus. Yeah, Chorus, me start going by the name then. My next song will be a Kranky G production. Bless up Jeremy, and it'll be a Kranky G production, definitely. And maybe I'll drop a little tidbit today, but we'll see how it goes. So good evening, everyone. You saw what's on the menu this evening. There's about 3 topics. 1, some semblance of Olympic updates, talking about the Shericka Jackson situation. Very disappointing. 2 is we're going to still touch up on the under 20, because I didn't really finish on Tuesday talking about that. And 3, bless up mindset. And 3, to talk about the appointment of the new coach, which I find really interesting, actually. And when I get your perspective as to, we were told a while back that we would be happy, to the point of probably being ecstatic about the new coach. And I want to see if that's the sentiment being held by everyone concerning this coach that we brought on board. So no, of course, it's not trying about. When you have a look at the timing on, I've just explore certain things. And the writing kind of come a little bit easy, to be honest. It's not the most difficult. Why the DJ part is a different story. We need to go to DJ school. They don't have no DJ school, people. Because when you have time for anyone try a new hobby, when I was growing up, I played a lot of different things. I play cricket, table tennis, like a basketball, flag American football, the real football. I played almost everything, so very versatile. Can't say I was good at any of them, but versatile. As I see in my video, I have my video where I'm playing, I do bowling, so I bowl for fun. So I do different things. Ricardo, 1-1, Caribbean, bless up. Thanks for joining. So, the look at DJ thing, want to call it. It's fun thing. You get a little bit older, you want to explore other things. You feel you can write comfortably, but the whole DJ concept is a whole different thing. But man, jumping with the question then. Mr. Vinci says, McLaren got his parasol ready to blow. Yeah, we're going to talk I'm going to talk quite a bit about him. And I want to jump into him directly here. Balance views there, man. Because I look fit the right way over here. I look fit because we on tonight at 9. It's one topic tonight, though. The topic is about Trump's attendance at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference and his response to a number of questions. We won't get into the details, but I'll drop the URL again. But no, man, the URL is there. If you try to go balance views, if you spell balance wrong, there's a lot of different things that affect you being able to find it. I actually had another name, I had uncensored views, which more clearly reflect how I operate. But the problem is there's so much uncensored view stuff. So I just dropped the link again. That it was very difficult to find it, so I changed the name. And I will say this, I can't say I'm too balanced when it comes to Trump. So maybe I should have said Trump without the balance, and then everything is balanced because I'm not. I can't say I'm balanced when it comes to Trump, but we'll talk about Trump tonight, actually. So yeah, it should be an interesting discussion tonight. Him at the conference, and actually, I have some points which may be balanced tonight. Actually, people will be surprised about my take on the conference and how it was, because if you hear me talk about Trump, I do bash him quite a bit, but I will say I thought there were some interesting points at the conference which needs to be revisited. So, people, 55 people, 28 likes. Something wrong with the YouTube thing, and a finger a hurting on if I just press the finger star. But it's gonna be. It should be. So join me tonight at 9 p.m. people, Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Jamaica time. So I'm just going. See somebody come in and say one Gaza. I nah touch a topic that people and don't force me to talk about the thing that's occurring in Jamaica with somebody getting released. I don't want to talk about it. If you know what you should pursue when you have on these forums. That's one ear me no want to go, because the temperature there, we have two separate distinct camps. I don't think you can bridge those camps. You should handle things that you can manage. I mean, I think we can manage it. So me acquiesce and say, you know what? I don't think I want to pursue that. I'll leave that alone, because it's a toxic topic for me. I will tell people this. I haven't been to any budget concert. So you must know me, I come up on them thing there. Haven't been to any. I had people come to my house, come stay, if they go budget concert. How much people ask them to go? I decided not to go. I have my own way I operate in life, and I think those principles I have, I'm going to keep them until I leave this earth. But anyway, we won't get into that. We'll talk football. So, Olympics first. We want the people to come in so we can have good dialogue with the coach. People, 59 people, 35 likes. Come on, people. Do better. Bless Ernest. Bless just Mr. Guna. Hey, Guna. You have a new song on Guna. We're not drop it. Hey, Guna, we have a new song. By the way, Guna, when you come back with your version of the song in Guna. After me spend my precious time, I write lyrics in Guna. 2 o'clock in the morning, I write in Guna. So Guna, I need to hear more from you about those lyrics and what you're coming back with, right? Because when we spoke, I thought you're going to come back with something, utilizing the same song, but you're going to probably put a different beat out or something. Because I can't spend so much time, Guna. I make an investment and you're not doing the same thing. Come on, Guna. Do better, man. Do better. Do better. One was saying, Sir Mike C said did well in Australia, put a good team together, a small club. They played good football. His resume is very thin, though. Oh, you're talking about Yorke. So we'll touch upon Dwight Yorke. We'll touch upon McLaren. Let me go Shericka first, right? Because we can jump all over the place. Wow, this is gonna be a fun evening, people. It's gonna be a fun evening. No, I think Guna. I'm not touch that. Hey, Guna, you can answer those questions, Guna, about your mic. I'm not touching that, Guna. You can answer those questions about your mic. Ernest, Jason, Patrick, 1-1, Icarix, Paul, the whole crew. Thanks for being here. So on Shericka, I'm extremely disappointed, people. You hear me? My Olympic picks, and I had Shericka winning the 1 and 200. Well, she can't win the 100 if she not run. Come like a Sports Illustrated, having Jamaica coming third in the 4x4 for men's, when Jamaica not in the 4x4 for men's. So I don't know how that worked. But having said Shericka is not going to win, I'm not picking anybody for those two races, because it will look like Sha'Carri is going to win the 100. And then, what's her name? Thomas will probably win the 200, frankly, the way it looks. So, yeah, I am extremely disappointed with that. That's like, and if she's running the 2, so she's trying to get as much time as possible, because the 2 run after the 1, I think, to recover or get to a good place. That means she's injured, people. Because the 2 is a longer race, even though the 1 may take more strain on you. And she probably can manage the 2 better. But if she's not running the 2, then it basically tells me that she's not healthy. And maybe she shouldn't run. No, she's not. Look, they gave out false information, right? They came back and said she had what they said, she had like a slight cramp or something. It was nothing. But when somebody pulls up running at that speed, you should always be concerned. Something popped quickly. So, Olympic team shaky, because Shelly-Ann don't look like, Shelly-Ann is older, right? Shelly-Ann do her time. She's on a farewell tour. So if she get a medal, but it's hard. It's going to be hard to get a medal, right? You're talking about one Talu, Shericka, Alfred, Too much competition. Too much competition. I don't think so. Coach didn't lie. He didn't know. Yeah, it's a different type of crowd. Yeah. She's buying time, Patrick. She's buying time for the two, but it may not work out. And it's not only the one in the people; it's a 4x1. So we focus on the one. It's every event she can participate in. She's guaranteed 2 medals in the 1 and the 2. Now that's 2 medals probably gone. And then the 4x1, Forbes is good. Shelly run decent. Tia is good, but a lot of good people. We came from dominant in the women with Elaine, Shelly, and Shericka. 1, 2, 3, and now we may not have nothing. Right? We hope Tia step up to the plate. I think she run well at the trials, but we may not have nothing, people. So it's going to be a tough situation for us. Obviously, the interesting thing is that, if you think about 2012, 2008, we had both men and women doing well. And now it's like we have alternate, right? The men look like they're going to shine this year in the 100, not the 200. And the women, they're going to struggle in the 100 and struggle in 200. So not the best thing. But we have somebody step in the 400. Hopefully, Price will step up in 400 flat. So yeah, hopefully. But that's a track and field. Let's go to the U20 because I was told today that the JFF may come up with something subsequent to the holidays. To the holiday of Jamaica, and they have some other holiday come up on the 6th. Or I should say, we have some other holiday, but they're not treated like foreigners. I said they have some holiday on the 6th. August 6th, which we know what day that is. And if you don't know, it's a problem for you. You should go find out. And the perspective is that they may come out to talk about what I call the under 20 debacle. But my view is that them come out quick. We knew about the coach for about 3+ weeks now. They came out with a marketing announcement. I think they could have come out with more information about saying, you know what? We have to do some review and assessment of the under 20. We're working through the process. We will come back to you after we have done our performance review. We haven't heard anything and gone silent. And my view is, at least from where I sit, it just seemed like a lack of accountability, frankly. But let's see what they come back with. Because what transpired was a travesty. It was a debacle. And here's the worst thing about it, people. To me, the worst thing. Take a sip of my champagne. No, it's water. Something to drink. The worst thing is that Cuba, a country which has been squeezed to the pulp by the US, can't get nothing done economically otherwise. Cuba, let me say it again. Cuba people. Hey, Cuba, show we up enough. It show how bad we are. We're really bad enough. If you look at Cuba's performance there, and Cuba, people say we don't have feel, we don't have resources, we don't have this. What people, have you seen Cuba of late? Have you seen Cuba? How Cuba is operating? We're better off than Cuba by quite a bit. And frankly, not on the under 20 football team. So those excuses that we find, even with a quota system, should not be the case. I'm sorry, we're not buying it, people. Not buying it. Not working for me. Not buying it. Why Olympics dead? We're moving on from Olympics mindset. We don't Olympics start tomorrow, people. Tomorrow's Friday. I may be doing some stuff. I don't know yet. Because I don't do anything subsequent between Friday and Sunday. By the way, I must start drop some more 10-minute videos. Because I just do lives. I may reduce the lives and do more 10 minutes, to be frank, because I've said this 101 times. I had no idea how much effort this took. And frankly, if you don't know the tools really well, I had Minzy, I walk me through some tools today, then you might struggle for a while. I sit on a chair 7:30 this morning. I'm not even say the night I did enough stuff for the 2 channel them. So it's a little bit challenging. So I may do more 10 minutes and do left live, but we'll see how that materialize. All depends on the viewership, the subscribers, and how that work. But back to the under 20, we're not talking Olympics now. Sir Mike and mindset. We are talking about the football. Because tomorrow track and field start. We'll see how that works out. Brandon said the under 17 look more organized than the U20s, but we shall see once they are playing stronger position. Yeah, I mean, when your country team draw with a regular team, and that should be concerning. I haven't been following it. I didn't go up to the game, even though it's not far from me. As you know, people, I'm trying to manage my engagement with the quota teams, as I call them. But at a minimum, even though it may be a U team and they're still working their way through this, and gotta give them a chance to gel, which I think is what Cuba probably does. I've been told Cuba team has been living together for like a year. They play football, them eat, them do work, schoolwork, and do that. So that camaraderie, which you see in like Panama's of the world, Cuba's of the world, El Salvador of the world, maybe to a lesser extent Honduras, where you have homegrown players and you can bring them together. Almost the concept they see Jamaica is trying to put together. That may help in terms of helping to bridge the gap between some of the CONCACAF teams, but I don't think we have that excuse actually. And look, we'll see what happens in a year or so when this elite program materializes and is put in place and has matured somewhat. We'll see what happens. But the under 20 was awful. I'm very disappointed. We haven't heard anything from the JFF concerning this. And my question is why? So BM is saying, I can't believe Cuba qualified for the U20 World Cup. I thought Honduras would have qualified because they're good at that level. Yeah. Well, it probably shows that maybe Cuba is more organized. Maybe they have a better administration because, ours is challenged. Maybe they spend more time and invest more in the football. Who knows what the rationale is? But the fact of the matter is they qualified and we didn't. And that's when it was a waste of money and precious time and manpower. Yeah, but you won't know until you try, right, Mr. Yee? You won't know whether your investment will materialize in something good unless you try and see what happens. So the fact of the matter is there's so many people pointing fingers with the under 20, from the coach to the manager to the administrators. People want to play. I don't blame the players, I'll be honest. And I've never give the players a hard time about this because they're only as good as how they're coached and how they're set up and how they're assisted by their manager, and the manager didn't help them. Right? They didn't play well, but the manager didn't help them. And that the first US game where they got 2 goals in the first 6 minutes and 3 by the 30-something minutes, and the manager just make a bunch of changes like he's just confused, wasn't a good thing. Wasn't a good thing. One saying, Brenda, you're trying to do the right thing, playing out from the back, little piece of the ball, movement, keeping it simple. Yeah. Everybody want to play possession football, people. Everybody trying to play possession football. So when we hear this thing about, bless John Paul, when we hear this thing about flexibility, and somebody I think TikTok gave me a hard time that I was misquoting the concept of being flexible. Maybe I am, but that's what I heard. I didn't hear someone embrace my view of we need to play possession football. We need to be technical, because possession football is about being technical. I think we are misconstruing what possession football means. It means that to me that the ball is your baby. It means that you can, when you get the ball, you know what to do with the ball. Before you get the ball, you know where you have awareness, positional, spatial. You know how to move off the ball. It's all the concept that informs football. You have learned them really well. You learn how to control the ball and not bounce of your foot like a wall is a hit punt. That's all it is. No, we didn't see any of those, Vince. We didn't see any Anthony. We didn't see the players with those skill set. And there were 5 non-local players in the team. They didn't all start, by the way. But as I said yesterday, I have a list of about 16, I thought it was 14, about 16, 17 players who was suggested to the organization to be brought in. 3 didn't have their papers. Their papers were being looked after. The pedigree of them, like I mentioned yesterday, we have Everton, Ajax, Union Berlin, Spurs. There are a bunch of players. And by the way, people, when you say Arsenal play yesterday, the 18-year-old from Nichols, I heard he's from Jamaican parentage, where his mom was in the States with them. So maybe somebody to go look at. He looks pretty good, actually. Small, look like he's about 13, but obviously a good footballer. He wouldn't be in the Arsenal squad and getting game time on their US tour. So there's a bunch of people out there with Jamaican heritage who may qualify to play for us. We seem to trying to do a decent job for the senior team, because we're desperate to go World Cup, but that's where it stops, because we believe that local players have the capability and ability to perform at a very high level. So we don't feel the need to pursue those players. And my philosophy is that the earlier you get them and acclimate them, the better it is for you. Because when they get to be really, really good, and they make their choice difficult for who they want to play for. But if you don't take them early, then why should they play for you? Especially now, you're rejecting quite a bit of them. You're not rejecting one or two, It's not like when you reject Antonio and Calvin Phillips, right? Calvin Phillips, who went to play for England and playing the Euros, and Antonio, who came later, but he was in the England squad at one point, but didn't get to play. It's not like that. It's a different story now. You're rejecting 9, 10, 11, 12 of them. The Ajax player, my understanding was the player of the year for Ajax at the junior level, and you're rejecting those players. So what's happening now is, why would they want to come back? Because the reason why they came in because they were given a story that we welcome you and embrace you. You get a fair chance to compete for a spot, and that wasn't the case. Wasn't the case. Yes, we do, and that's where the coaching come in, and the coaching may not be at the right level. Yeah, no, I mean, it's holistic one. Football is not just one dimensional. It's not just, can you move? Are you fast? Are you quick? Are you physical? Are you aware? Can you move? It incorporates all the attributes that make you a good footballer, right? Some people I don't think Spain have the fastest team, apart from now on the wings, but they're so technical, they can get around some of the other attributes that they don't have, which may be differentiating attitude. I should say attributes, which may be differentiating attributes. So you don't have to be the fastest person on the planet to be a brilliant footballer. This is not like you're running in the NFL or you're running track and field. Hey, Kranky, can I get Andre on? Her, they pushed out Angus even placing with Dwight Yorke. Yeah, I did talk to Andre today. I think his son may be playing, when Andre's son is playing, he has two sons who plays pro. He watches all their games, which is what he should do. So sometimes it's hard to get him on, but I could try to do so. Did they push out Angus Eve, or did his performances warrant him being in the team, or running the team, I should say? I don't know. I mean, there's some speculation about what Yorke did, and we'll get to that. When we talk about Black Iron, we'll talk about Yorke. We're just doing under 20. We're going to finish under 20. Then we progress to the McLaren appointment and my perspective and your perspective. Yeah, Vinci, I would agree. That flexibility in terms of positional play is important, but not in terms of your philosophy of football and style of play. In terms of, you need to embed something in people, right? Every team has to be some flexibility in them, but flexibility is not a style of play. Conrad said, big up Kranky and a man, them a woman. Interesting way of phrasing this. You said, Kranky, the results going into Mexico without proper preparation were predictable, so we knew the results expected without participating. Yeah. I think mine says that Jamaica football is frustrating and backward. I think you're as good as your administration a lot of time. So what do I mean? So if you go to most people who run companies, for example, they'll tell you all they need, forget about product. All they need is people with exceptional ability to manage, to lead, to drive people, and they can create something and be good, right? And when you work in certain companies, you notice some leaders and managers move between different departments. They may know nothing about one given department, yet somebody took them from a trading desk to run marketing, or a trading desk to run sales, right? And the rationale there is that if you're as brilliant as we think you are, you'll figure it out. You will learn, you will adapt, and you're a leader, you'll know how it works. You'll figure it out. That's the concept. So if you have very good managers and leaders, those individuals should, if they don't have the information and some of the skill set, they go gain the skill set, they go acquire the information, and they disseminate it. That's how this thing works. And we have all been around the space to see how our leaders operate. And sometimes it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. One was saying Anthony Robert Ajax is one of the best academies in the world for a long time, and they make every kid rotate position. Yeah, well, it comes from the Dutch view of total football, right? That's from the probably late 60s, early 70s, and Cruyff brought that to like Barcelona. Possession football, total football, where the Dutch used to just play. Remember the Dutch team with Cruyff and Neeskens and all of them? Those people can play any and everywhere. They are very versatile. They train them to be footballers first, and then positional second. And then you marry into a position probably based on some of the attributes that you exhibit, right? So, yeah. The Jamaica and Trinidad have experience in football success too soon, and the teams to date seem and perform below par. What do we deem to be football success, people? I'm curious. How we come up with this football success? Jamaica been a very successful footballing nation. We've been to one World Cup. Is that success? I'm trying to understand when we say we've been a successful footballing nation. We have done well in the Gold Cup, relatively well. We haven't won it, but we've gone to finals and we've gone to semifinals, so we've done relatively well. We still haven't won it. Is the US successful in football? Some people in the US will tell you they have not been because they haven't won anything, basically. They haven't won major tournament outside of CONCACAF. So they don't deem themselves to be successful because they want to be number one in everything in the world. So the question is, Jamaicans who have been exceptionally successful in an individual sport in athletics have the same perspective about anything we participate in. Well, in women football, we've gone to 2 World Cup, but we haven't passed the round of 16. So yes, the women have done well. But have we been exceptionally successful? I don't know about that. Greece won the Euros. Have they been successful at football? Yeah, they've got the pinnacle in Europe, but they haven't continually made the Euros and/or won the Euros, right? How does one define that you're successful? Because to me, success is about sustainability, you know. Have I been continually successful? Do I continue to make finals and semifinals? And if we think we're on the world stage and we believe as people that we should be on the world stage and performing at that level, it would beg the question. We haven't been to an under 20 since 2001. I think we went to the one under 17 subsequent to that. We've been to the World Cup once. So are we one and done, people? I don't know if I would deem us to be successful at football. The US can say they are successful in CONCACAF. They have won the under 20 about 3 to 4 times. They have won Copa so many times they start using, not Copa, I mean Gold Cup so many times they start using their second team, right? But they failed in Copa America and they fired their coach, people. After they won the Gold Cup before that, they fired their coach. So I don't know. Depends on what criteria we set and what heights we think we should be at or we think we should reach. So if you say we've been successful in football, you're saying most, if not all, the JFF administrations have been successful administrators. That's what I'm hearing. So is it true that we've been successful in football? I don't know. I probably may differ on that one. Some people may say we did okay. We haven't done okay. We struggle. I mean, our junior I think we should be much more successful than we are. I think the leadership in place, the problem we have in Jamaica is that it's like in politics sometimes. It's the same people over and over again. They don't change. They just change their shirt and their pants. They don't change. They're in the administration doing the same thing. They have the same capability. It's not changed. There's no new blood. There's no creative thinking. There's no innovation. There is no way of garnering all that collective intellect and leveraging it with people who may have different experiences to bring to the table. Same people, same experiences, same outcome. And they don't want nobody else to be involved, especially from overseas, because they set the bar so high you can't get involved. And even for local people, some people just don't want to get involved. Even the ones who are capable locally don't want to get involved. So what you have is the same people doing the same thing, and you expect different outcome. You ain't get no different outcome. Yeah, there's a ton of them, MPW94. Trust me. There's so many of them in the UK. It's unbelievable. If you were to go to the list, you'd be shocked about the list. The list is unbelievable. Now, can you convince them to play for Jamaica? Some of them you can, and we should expect that. In fact, if one person decided to play for Jamaica born in England, we should say, you know what? We welcome you. I think this concept we have of being entitled and they should diss England for us is not rational, frankly. It's not rational. It is not rational. And we wouldn't expect somebody born in Jamaica to ditch Jamaica to go play for another country, regardless of what their heritage entails. So we're a little bit unreasonable when we're telling all these kids ditching them come play for us. We can ask them, and they say no, we lose our minds, and we start calling them rejects. And I hear this reject term be thrown about, but anybody. So if you use the term reject a lot, it suggests, and I said this on Tuesday, that anybody who don't play in their national team for their country is a reject who plays football. Every single person that plays a sport who don't get into their national team, never play for their national team in football, by your definition, calling people reject is a reject. So therefore, if they have heritage someplace else and that country asks them to come play or decide to go play for the country because they want to play for Jamaica, then they should be considered a reject by your definition. What I would say from my view is that people have to make decisions of their own volition based on what's important to them, not based on some other person wanting them to do something that they're going to give them pleasure. That cannot be the rationale. And when we call people reject, we've been disrespectful, and those people should be called out and probably should be ostracized as far as I'm concerned. When you're going to use some denigrating term to belittle someone because they decide not to come, like I heard Obi Mikel talk about people from Nigeria or some people in Ghana complain about it. It's not only Jamaica people, not the African countries, because we export people, right? The poorer countries export people. It's not a race thing. It's just how it is. Poorer countries export people because they got to go look better life. I'm going to give you an example. If you go to Hong Kong on a Sunday morning, say 11 o'clock, you go in the middle of the town, in the mall, you see Filipino women like crazy, any and everywhere. They're just, as far as your eye can see, they're there. They come there, they work in the households, they come there as, I'm going to call it cheap labor, and they get employed there, and they leave their families for years upon years. They're trying to make a living. Now, if they have a kid in Hong Kong, and that kid decides not to go play for Philippines, or they're waiting to pay for Hong Kong, are they a reject? So poor countries export labor, and they have people there with the heritage. But when you're born in a country, like if you're born in Jamaica, you're born someplace else, you're almost embedded to that country. You're part of that fabric of that country. Why should you go play for another country? You may, because when you live in the States, for example, you may live in a Jamaican neighborhood or a Chinese neighborhood or a Vietnamese neighborhood. That's how the country sort of split up, especially in New York, or Italian neighborhood, right? But you're still in America. You're still in the U.S. And what you see in front of you every day is something U.S. Even though your mom talk patois, your dad talk patois, you eat curry goat and oxtail, you do all those things. When you go to school, you're in a different environment. When you play sport, you're in a different environment. So then you're trying to tell me I should go play for Jamaica. And if I don't come play, I'm disingenuous, I'm a reject. That's totally nonsense. And it's frustrating to hear. But we're going to transition because I could talk about this all night. Last thing on the under 20. As I've said before, JFF, you have proven what your quota system can do. So now you should try something else. The quota system has not worked. Doesn't mean the team would have won if it included all players, right? If it brought in all those players that I said I alluded to, because I have the long list here. And by the way, I'm going to say another thing too, which is going to be controversial, but that's how life is. Controversial for some people, not everybody. Some people would agree with me. When you have those players that I alluded to, a number of them, it doesn't mean that the team would have still won. It doesn't. Yeah, Conrad. It doesn't mean, but I think it would have given them a better chance. That's my view. But we'll never know, right? When I look at the initial provisional squad people, and it's going to get me into some interesting corners, but I don't want to be me. There were about 10 Cavalier players in the first list of 60. Now, I know that Cavaliers have under 2014 that played JPL, and it may be a good rationale for it, but I must say this again. The conflict between Rudolph being a coach for Cavaliers, being head of technical committee for the JFF, is not okay. Something has to give. Either he resigns a position or he makes sure they put measures in place to manage it, kind of look good. One of the managers there was from Cavaliers. A lot of players from Cavaliers. The technical committee chair from Cavaliers. It can't be okay, people. Those conflicts are not okay. So either you change it and eliminate the conflict, or you mitigate the conflict by putting measures in place so you can't be questioned. You can't walk around with your chest out saying, so it have to go. No, it's not okay. And Ricketts, you're not doing your job when you allow this to happen. You're not doing your job. And Chung, you're not doing your job. I don't hear any of you coming out saying, oh, you know what, we're going to manage this conflict. We have third party coming in to look at this and do an independent assessment of this. And then we're going to make sure going forward we have measures in place to mitigate it. If he's not going to stop being the coach of Cavaliers, the major shareholder in Cavaliers, and head of the technical committee, it can't be okay, people. And we sit back and, when we hear that loudmouth talk, I'm referring to him, he's right on the conflict. I don't get along with that person. I'll never engage with that person in any capacity, but he's right on the conflict. It's not okay. And when I see these things, I'm going to call him out. And it's not about Rudolph, but I'm calling it out. It's not okay. And I've heard anybody come back and talk about this and say we're going to try to mitigate and make it okay. Because you know what? They don't care. They don't believe that anybody can change anything because they've been in power for 4 years and no one can change what's there. It is what it is. You have to live with it. And that's why the football struggle, because we don't have the best people running the football. And when they have their conflicts, they're not mitigating those conflicts. And some people are going to hate when I say this and say, don't ever engage with Kranky again. I mean, I'll tell them, say, what me always tell them to people, don't tell me what me say. I don't know what me always say. Tell them what me say. It's not okay, people. This is not about beating. It's not okay. So then it's going to look like, you know what? You have a quota because you want to get your players in the team. Whether it's so or not, that's what it looks like. When you have 10 of 60 and you have 5 of 22, it looks, if they may be the best players, it doesn't matter. If it appears bad, then it's probably bad. Change it. Or change the system to make sure, you know what? In the selection process, it's 100% clear that you're not involved in it at all. And we have a really involved process where we go back across the island. We have scouts who pick out players. They have the best players. We know they're the best players. And we don't question this and walk away shaking our head saying, you know what? Something is wrong with the system. It's corrupt. That should not be the case. And it's frustrating having to talk about this over and over again. And you hear me talk about the quota system because the quota system is wrong, illegal, discriminatory. It is what it is. It ain't going to change it. You hear what I'm saying? We can't change nothing. At them run things. You know those kind of concept, right? There's perspective. We run things and we can't run up in the motor I don't want. Now if I drink water, let me drink some. When they can't change it. But you know what? We're not stop talking about it. You know why? Because when we see things that are wrong, they need to change. And we'll bring it out until them change. And if not, we just talk about it till we're more dry because we don't care. We all talk about it. It's not okay. It needs to change. It don't look good, it don't smell good, and it may not be good. So I'm not sure why anybody think that's okay. And Mr. Ricketts, I respect you, but you have to address these things. None of you guys came up with the under 20 debacle that occurred. None of you step up front, put your chest out and say, you know what, we own it, we're accountable, we're going to fix it and address it. Nobody came out. You guys are silent, radio silent. How can that be okay? That shows that you have no accountability. There's no leadership. That cannot be okay. I have met Ricketts. I've talked to Ricketts. He's a great person, but he's not leading. Right now, he's not leading. So you hear me up on my soapbox now, people. I'm supposed to talk about McLaren. I'm going to talk about Ricketts and speak because some things bother me. In life, we should have principles, a moral compass, and we should exhibit those things. And if we don't, then it's a problem. That's why society degrades continually. Society gets worse and worse because we give allowances for things over and over. And after a while, everything is bad. It's like listen to Trump. And here people have to vote for Trump. And you look at Trump and how what this says and does. And you're just like, I cannot believe you people. Same concept here. But anyway, we got to move on because I could talk about this all night. Let's talk about McLaren, people. The phone line is open. Steve McClaren, coach of the Jamaica football team, the new coach. I was told I was going to be excited. I said before, I'd be excited if it's a Spanish coach, and I don't mean an Argentinian. I don't mean a Chilean. I don't mean somebody from Ecuador. I mean from Spain. I didn't see one, so I'm not happy. I like to look at success, try to understand how people gone at that success, why they're successful, and leverage that. And I'm getting saved because before the game, want to come save me because he knows I'm getting myself in trouble. So he decided to come and save me. I don't ever get an interview with anybody from the JFF, which is right now. The way it's going, I'll never get another interview. And you know they draw viewers, people. But as you know, I'm gonna do my thing. Good night, sir. How are you doing?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
Good. So your son not playing tonight?
No. Today is what? Friday? I think the next game is Sunday.
So people, I'm very privileged to have Andre with me on my channel, because Andre has two sons to play professional football. One played at level 11, one played for Atlanta United, and they came through his academy because he has an academy, by the way, people. He runs his own academy. He have shown you some excerpts I've shown you from his football team. How much passes did they make? 63?
67, I think it was.
See, who's counting? 67 passes. So we can call him the 67 passes coach. 67 passes. But you know what he did? As soon as they lose the ball, he cut the tape. But anyway,
well, that's a must. Right? You're going to lose the ball. I was watching one this morning because I'm rebuilding. Someone is rebuilding the website for me, and part of it, a section of it is going to have videos. So I was looking for the videos because I'm not the best. I'm not very organized, and I was looking at a video. Our very first game 11 years ago. After we trained for 6 months. It'd be interesting. I'll send that one to you later. You'll see it. It's very
I want to see it. I want to be.
Yeah,
I don't know about football. I'm a YouTuber, right? But you can send it to me anyway. I know nothing about football. I just talk the football. I don't know nothing about it. I've been told YouTubers don't know football.
And by the way, I analyzed your pass last night.
My pass? What do you mean?
The pass in the video that we
people. I start back up, people. So, I have my Kranky Live #1 hit video in my own mind, by the way, and I have on there me playing football, and by the way, people, let me just tell you who the person is that me, because people don't realize I'm the one who hit the post with a header, scored the header. I'm gonna talk about this, made that one pass, and then try to score, and the guy tapping my shot with the keeper blocked. So Andre was critiquing the pass I made, that left foot pass, and my right footer, left foot pass between two defenders. So Andre, let's hear your critique of the pass.
I looked at it closely last night. And while I wouldn't engage you in the Martin Odegaard it actually was quality. It was quality.
And by the way, I was playing center forward in that game. So that's a center forward pass. Even though I used to play CDM, I used to center forward pass. Yeah.
The technique was brilliant, and the way you kept yourself upright.
Yes, people. You have to go watch it. Hey, people, see though?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. Watch it. Thank you, Andre. And he's not. I didn't bribe him to say that, because he and I we're not arguing. We're discussing the pass, and he thought I was off. I was in a good position to make the pass, and I said no. I got the ball.
I was questioning your technique.
Yeah, but the technique. Yeah, that's the only play the pass could go make.
Again,
to get it out to the player.
I'm not going to juxtapose this with Martin, but it was quality.
Go ahead. You know what? Let's touch C11, then we go to Yorke and we go to McLaren. So no, I haven't even listed the people. I'm telling you, people don't realize I'm complaining and whine about how much time is spent. I talked to Andre today. We're talking about this, Andre, right?
Yeah.
I told you I had to go because I couldn't talk. I'm going to do something. And I was doing this from 7:30 this morning.
Right.
I didn't even go to the gym, people. I haven't been to the gym in a week and a half, 2 weeks, because I'm trying to learn this thing and it's frustrating. That's why I said I'll probably do less live and do more 10-minute video, because it does take a lot of time and effort. And I don't have any help. My nephew has left me for some reason. He's found, when people find other people who they want to pursue, they have less time for you. So I've been divorced, and he's going in other direction. So I'm struggling big time because he was my effective challenge, I call him. Yeah, Andre. So I haven't listened to the CL partnership, but I know we talked about this a little bit Tuesday, which is I was surprised that we had an exclusive team that seemed to own the rights with Adidas. So I have to get more intelligence on that, people. I have to go listen to it. I'll come back to you on this maybe Monday when I do the show on Monday, because I'm not doing a show for the rest of the week. But if I listen to it, I may do a 10-minute video. So what are your thoughts on two things?
Ricardo said the pass was regular.
Ricardo, let me suggest this. You need to go to the optician. Please go to the optician, Ricardo. Something is wrong with your eyesight. Maybe you're too far. Maybe your device too small, Ricardo. Get a bigger device. Get a MacBook Pro or get a 70-inch TV. Put it on the TV and look on it.
I think
Claudine, send me a wine.
Yeah, Claudine.
That's why I made Kranky Claudine. It's Kranky. There's a reason for Kranky. Go ahead.
I think the way the striker dealt with the pass is probably what is making Ricardo say it's ordinary.
There's nothing ordinary about the pass. Nothing. Hey, first of all, I went through the whole tape. I didn't put all the thing for the tape because I scored another goal in that game and I didn't put it on there. Because you know why? I don't think I should have scored it.
The thing about it is you got to remember that. How long ago was this?
It's probably 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
I always say our responsibility is, the Caribbean people, a lot of times, a lot of Caribbean people, at least in Trinidad, they seem to like a lot of nostalgia, right? They always want to talk about the past, connecting the present to the past. And I always say we need to try to connect the present to the future, right? Deal with the youth and that kind of stuff. So we can appreciate the past, but we're not gonna make it 30 minutes of the show, right?
I don't see why not. No. We should talk about. Let's do Yorke first, then we do McLaren.
Yeah.
Dwight Yorke is being deemed to be. I don't think it's officially announced yet, right?
I don't think that has been officially announced.
But it seems like all indications he's going to be the coach for Trinidad.
That's what it seems like. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, it's always good to have someone who's familiar with the organization, the culture, the expectation, part of your program. The question is, do they give you the best chance to win?
Right.
That's the question, right? There's nothing wrong with hiring homegrown people. Yorke has spent a ton of time overseas, but he's homegrown, right? He's from Trinidad. Yeah. He's played for Trinidad. He took them to the World Cup, even though he was not at his best then because he was older then. But he did a wonderful job representing Trinidad, putting Trinidad on the world map, frankly. Yeah. Where some people say a country can't do anything for them. Well, Dwight Yorke never said that, but he put Trinidad on the map. We watch him every week playing in the EPL.
The Caribbean.
Well, yeah, the Caribbean, frankly. Now you've read about that.
Have come out of the Caribbean.
Let me think about that one for a second.
Hey, he's won a treble at Manchester United. He's won a treble at Manchester United.
Let me say this. We got to be very careful with that best player coming to the Caribbean.
Hey, he's won a treble.
You mean not played for a Caribbean team, not coming to the Caribbean?
No. Hold on a minute. Who else from the Caribbean? Has won a treble? Won the English Premier League,
right? The
FA Cup and the Champions League.
But doesn't make you the best player because you won all of that. I could name you a bench player that's won all of that. I can feel Phil Jones. Phil Jones probably won all of that.
Okay, let's play it this way. He's the most successful player.
Probably. I mean, John Barnes was successful.
No, not probably.
Did Barnes win I'm trying to figure if Barnes won the UEFA Champions League.
Is the most successful player that came out of the Caribbean.
So we gotta be careful when we say came to the John Barnes came to Jamaica and born in Jamaica.
Yes, he was born in Jamaica. He left Jamaica very early, but he played for England.
Yes, but someone say we gotta be careful when we say come out of the Caribbean, which is played for a Caribbean country. Yeah, there's a difference, big difference, right?
And okay. I don't care what criteria you put it, the answer is going to be the same. It is Dwight Yorke.
I think Barnes are better than Yorke. I think John Barnes are better than Yorke.
That's okay. You think your pass is Martin Odegaard like? It's all opinion.
I've never seen Odegaard make a try like that. But that's another story. People say I don't think Sterling is with Yorke or with Sterling's a very good player, but don't get me wrong. And there's debate about him being world class. When Dwight Yorke played with Andy Cole, lethal combination. When we went to Villa to Man U, but John Barnes, you go watch John Barnes tape, ridiculous footballer. And in fact, England probably would have won the '86 World Cup if they weren't so racist and they started John Barnes. Because when he came on the field in the second half, he set up one goal and then missed the second one he set up when they played Argentina. Go watch that game and watch when they played and watch what he did. But anyway, you were saying, sir, Mr. Yorke, second best player coming to the Caribbean.
I think he's played at the highest level in club football.
Right.
He played in the World Cup. He represented Trinidad and Tobago many times. And he's played in this region, so he understands what is required to be successful, right? Because he was part of the team that qualified for the 2006 World Cup, and he is also part of teams that tried to qualify before that and didn't make it. So he would have a lot of experience that he received as a player,
right,
in that space, which I think is important. On the coaching side, I don't know that he has had a lot of experience as a coach, and that's where the challenge would come. So I think it would be, if you ask me, it would be important who they surround him with, who his staff is, right? If his staff is somebody that, from a coaching perspective, that doesn't have more experience than he has in terms of being and trying to qualify a team and stuff, then it could be really challenging. So
here's a question.
He would need somebody with some experience.
Here's a question that just come to me as I thinking about this. Where are the great black football coaches? Do we ever had one? Have we ever had one? And if not, why? Because we've had a lot of great black footballers.
Well, look, I think opportunities has been the problem, right? We've heard bans and many people talk about it, their inability, many black coaches' inability to get jobs. And when they do get jobs, you can see, I think Patrick Vieira is a good coach, but he hasn't had the same luxury like, let's say, Pep has in terms of getting a team with tremendous resources. We spoke yesterday about Pep spending about $700,000 a week and salary more than Arsenal. That can get you 2 or 3 quality players that could help you, that could keep you on top of the league, have you dominate the league 6 years, over 6 years. So opportunity has been the problem. So if they're not going to get opportunities, then we're not going to quite find out what they can do. And when they do get opportunities, it's in very desperate situations, So
it's more than that, though, isn't it? So opportunity is one thing. Don't disagree with that. And I argue when I hear Simon Jordan talk about these things, but it has to be more than that. So here's where I come out on this, which is this: it needs to be explored. Maybe we'll do a show on it. It really, and here's why it needs to be explored, because we can say opportunities in countries which may restrict your ability to get opportunities, right? You in Europe, you in Americas, but football is played globally. It's played in Africa. It's played in the Caribbean. We have coaches in those jurisdictions. So why no great coach come out of those jurisdictions? So, for example, if Whitmore is the coach in JPL, Mount Pleasant, whoever is coaching, play football at a decent level, he's now a Jamaica coach, but we don't think he's a great coach, right? Not knocking him per se. I'm just giving an example. Or we don't think Angus Heavey is a great coach. Is it their fault, or is it how they were educated to be coaches? Because you can still take local teams and mold them and show your capability and them elevate to expectation which could not even be considered. If have you been coached the right way to be a coach? Meaning, have you been trained the right way, and then you get the practical training to be a great coach?
Well, look, I think there's in every profession there's always a few people that, for lack of a better way of putting it, that is special. It's almost like they were made for that industry or for that profession. They see things different to everybody else. Exposure is important, right? When you play football, you could play an entire career. You can play for a decade, for 15 years, for 20 years, and never play for a coach that sees the game in the way Arteta sees the game, for example, or most Spanish coaches. You know what I'm saying? You may never experience that. At the end of the day, when it's time to become a coach, the first thing that you're going to do is draw on your experiences, right? Because that's where you're most comfortable. And I think a lot of guys, you need a lot of ambition to say, look, I've played for these coaches. I didn't like how they played the game, but I like how I played how this team I played against, how they played, how this coach had his team played, and I want to learn how to do that. It takes a lot of ambition to do that, because right now in the MLS, there's the French guy at Columbus Crew. I mean, very, very, very good.
You talking about Fraser?
No,
Yeah,
not
Fraser.
Fraser. No, Fraser is Jamaican, right? What's Columbus Crew coach name again? I'll tell you in a minute. But he's very good. He won the MLS Cup last year. He dominates possession. If you look at them, he just dominates possession.
So why didn't Jamaica look at him as an example?
I know that his name came up for the US job, but he's not from England. He's from France.
yeah, he's from France. From France, yeah.
Yeah. See, you say, why didn't Jamaica look at him?
Yeah, but no. I'm slow. You know what? I'm slow.
I'm
slow.
sorry, I'm
slow. I'm too slow. Way too slow. Way too slow. But he's in America, so he speaks English.
No, he's very good. He's very, very good. He came to the league, and his name is Wilfred Nancy. Right, black guy from France, and he's just taking the league by storm. And when I say they dominate possession, as a matter of fact, that's the team that gave Aston Villa four last week.
Okay. Well, look, I may change my view and go pursue a French coach if he dominates possession.
No, he's good.
But that's my point, though, about how do you go. So JFF, if you're listening, no, listen anyway. No, listen. I'm going to say no, listen, but don't listen. JFF, you should be looking for a coach right now. What do I mean by that? You give McLaren a 2-year contract, but just like Hagrim's to walk out, he could walk out tomorrow and say, no, I'm working on it. You should always be looking for 3 or 4 or 5 people who are considerations for positions in your organization, even though you may have somebody in the seat, because you never know what can happen. You may want to change them because of performance, or you may want to say, you know what, when they leave, I have these options. And you also keep in touch with those people. So if this person, right, Wilfred Nancy, is someone on your radar, you should be making a relationship with him. Maybe build an affiliation with him to work with your junior team in terms of them going to Columbus to play the academy teams and vice versa. But you build relationships. So JFF, you should always be looking down the road in the future and making preparation and plans for contingency plan, not just because something may go wrong, but because you want to be prepared if it does go wrong, what you need to do. The perfect example I gave Tuesday was, the Brighton coach, De Berzy, who went to Marseille. He was only there for a year, right? When Potter left, they knew what they wanted. They brought him in. It didn't work out. They said bye, brought somebody else in. Right. That's how they operate. They have 2 or 3 or 4 people, not only coaches, but players they have planned on pursuing, because they're never going to be caught wanting or not being prepared. Your view on Yorke, Mr. Yorke being Trinidad coach. I know you mentioned a few things about his pedigree.
Yeah, but I think what's going to boil down to is who to surround him with. Who does he have as his support staff? Right? You support. If you don't have a ton of experience, football is there's some ideas about football that is quite simple, right? If you have ideas about the game and how the game should be played, the only how you're going to know if it works is to test it, right? Work on it during the course of the week and test it against an opponent on a weekend. I know that he has not had an opportunity to do that. You have not had an opportunity to do that for any period of time, right? So his ideas about the game, it's going to be ideas that he's going to be finding out about in World Cup qualifiers. So the way you buffer that is to have somebody close to him that could say, hey, I don't think this is going to work, or have you thought about this? You know what I mean? Somebody who could bring experience to the table.
Right.
But we'll see. I don't know how they're looking at it, how they're going to treat it, but we see what happens, and we're going to find out very soon. It's less than a month, or a little more than a month. We're gonna find out if it is him, if they did give him the job, we're going to find out how he's going to go about it, you know. And as Anthony is saying there, that's one of the things that Patrick did, right? Patrick, as a coach with Man City, he coached the under-23s, he coached in the youth system, right? He had an opportunity to learn and test his ideas through that process before he was before he ended up in New York at NYCFC and spent a few years there.
You mean Vieira? You mean Vieira?
Yeah, Vieira. Yeah. There's the second time I've seen this question come up. So look, if
well, you should know.
Well, look, it's simple. It's not complicated. He during his time as the coach, I think his biggest catch would be the result against the USA recently, but he qualified the team for you got to look at success by results, right? He changed his squad. He made the squad you know, there were older guys for whatever reason. He brought in younger guys and he kind of phased out some of the older guys. That was his choice. He qualified the team for the World Cup, for the I wish that's not here yet. It's too early for the Gold Cup.
You're prognosticating. You're predicting that you're going to be there.
maybe I could talk it into reality. But he qualified the team for the Gold Cup. He went from the B division in Nations League to the A division. You know, some people would say that some people would query it and talk about Nicaragua and whatever the case may be, but it happens under your watch. If he didn't qualify it under his watch, then it would have counted against him as well. Right. He raised the ranking of the team. The ranking is still very low, but he'd gotten the ranking of the team. He'd moved it up a couple of spaces. So, and he got 4 points out of 6 in the last 2 World Cup qualifiers, beating I think it's Bahamas 7-1 and unfortunately tying with Grenada in Trinidad. So it's the results speak for themselves, right? So I don't think anybody needs to be if you're going to have an opinion on it, it has to be based on what the facts are, right? Right. Some people would argue that maybe for whatever reason he's not it's divided, right? Some people think that he's the person for the job. Some people think he isn't. Obviously, the opinion that matters is the opinion of the federation, and they decided that they wanted to go in a different direction. So, you would always hope that direction is a better direction. We just gotta wait and see.
Yeah, I would think it's tough for Dwight to take over when he did. Actually, do you want to take over in the middle of a World Cup campaign, or you want time to understand the team, blend with the team, set them up your way to pursue that goal? All right, you're in the middle of it. Granted, there's a big window between now and the next World Cup qualifiers. He has the Nations League stuff to do, but it's interesting time to take over.
It's going to be challenging for anybody that takes the job because a good part of the pool is playing in Trinidad. The league is not, they don't have a start date for the league. I heard some people talking about October, which is a long way away. And of course, the window is September, right? So anybody coming into the job, putting a squad together, it's going to be complex because if these guys, well, some of the guys that they would want to consider is playing for Police and playing for AC Sport of Spain, and I don't know for a fact, but they should be preparing right now to play in the Caribbean tournament, right? So they may be, but training and playing and match fitness is two different things. Playing international football is something different. So there are some players outside. So whoever gets the job, one would hope that they know who they're going to put in place. They did say in the press release that they're going to start the search for a coach. If they're now starting the search for a coach, that it seems a little bit late. If they have somebody, they need to put somebody in place quickly so that they can start to understand the player pool. I would think that if Dwight is the person and he had an interest in coaching Trinidad, that he would have been paying attention and he would know who the player pool that exists, right? because you don't want to have a coach that doesn't know the player pool a month away from a World Cup qualifier or whatever tournament the game is.
Well, you hope he would be following Trinidad football, right?
Yeah.
And that has to be part of the dialogue when you interview someone. You want to know what they know about the team that they're assuming responsibility for. Is it unrealistic expectation given what you're trying to achieve? And how does that marry up with their skill set to allow them to achieve that objective? So,
and look, you and I understand that, right? And we can talk about that here. And it seems as though, the under-20, Trinidad under-20 failed the other day, but it seems as though
Jamaica didn't fail, by the way. Jamaica didn't fail. They made the last round.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that just now. Well, at least Jamaica got to the next round, but it seemed as though the coach, based on all the conversations and the interviews and whatnot, it seemed as though the coach that was had didn't know the player pool for the under-20, right? Based on all the interviews that because 1 minute you selected the team, next minute others selected the team, so there just wasn't any. It wasn't fluent in terms of whether or not it left the impression he didn't know the player pool. So strange things could happen sometimes,
Yep. Once again, Andre, people, because Claudine, let's say I like to whine and complain, but I'm just looking at I'm looking at the numbers, people. The numbers don't align. We know how this works in this channel, right? 158 and 119 are not in sequence. It's not coordinated. It's not linking. It's disparate, people. Make them align, okay? Go ahead, Andre.
119. When Claudine came in just now, she said,
119 and 161 don't align, Andre. They're way off, right? Those two numbers are not marrying. In fact, it should be more than 161 because people come and go. That's how YouTubers work, right? YouTube work. So it should be more than 161. So if it's 119 and 161, where the likes is less than the people in the chat, something is wrong with it. I know the index finger, this finger right here, or this, I don't know which one you use to push it, but whatever it is,
using
push
a phone, right, or a touch screen.
It doesn't matter. You can still use the finger. Do it. Yeah, use your finger. Do it. Or use your mouse with the computer. If you have a computer, use your mouse. All right, go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
Look, you saw Cuba qualified for the World Cup, right? The under-20 World Cup.
I know that just throw everything into the face of Trinidad and Jamaica and those teams like that.
Yeah.
Right. That's because how Trinidad, Cuba is struggling as a country. So the excuses about the country and the playing fields and the balls and skills and coaches, all that goes out the window.
Yeah.
Jamaica and Trinidad have much more money than Cuba to invest in their football.
Look, it's the second time in 11 years.
And Jamaica has won since 2001, by the way. We have won in 23 years.
One in 23 years. Yeah.
For the under 20, and somebody can tell me about under 17.
Trinidad was
one each.
In 2009 or something like that. Is it 2009? Yeah, I think 2009 or something like that. It's I don't know. It's hard to explain, right? Because with all the planning, so when we listen to all of the conversations, there's a little aspect of football that you can't plan for, in my opinion. You can have all the best players in the world. You can have the best coach. You can do a lot of things, but football is heartless. Right, and football sometimes can show you a curveball, which is what happened to Honduras, right?
Hey, Vinci, just use two devices, Vinci, with two different names. Anyway, keep going. What's
that?
Anthony say, so PDK like twice. I said, just get two devices with two different names on it. Get your kid's device and your device. Well, it's not made for kids, so get an adult in your house. But go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, it's football could show you a curveball sometimes. There's things that you can't plan for. It happens in the game. And Cuba benefited from it this time around. I think going into the tournament, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of the conversations that I was listening to in that particular group with Cuba, that Cuba was the team that Jamaica expected to beat, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, at a minimum.
Yeah, at a minimum. One of the things that I've noticed over years in the region from speaking to coaches, when we go into tournaments, we go into the tournament and we're looking at, okay, this is how we're going to qualify. We're going to beat this team, right? As opposed to prepare and try to get something. And some people may say it's wise, it's strategic, but the gap should be closing. The gap should be closing between Jamaica and the USA, Jamaica and Mexico, Trinidad and Mexico, Trinidad and USA. After a decade, 15 years, look, I'm reading some documents right now, Kranky, and it's some of the things that that is important to the Spanish FA, for example, in terms of I'm reading the strategic plan, right? And some of the things that is important to them in terms of how they're developing the football, right? They have a plan that stretches out to 2050 and
2050.
It's look.
Can you send that? Can you send that?
When I hear some of the leadership, when I hear the discussion of some of the leadership and the plans and then you read some of these documents, you compare and contrast and you realize that we're playing a different game. We're playing a different game.
Well, but here's the thing though, because the leadership don't realize that they themselves may be limited in their thought process and need to bring other people into the forum or go leverage of other people in the environment who are doing really well. They say they do, but a lot of times they don't. They just say it because it sounds good.
Well, you can't say it because it sounds good. You got to mean it because this thing takes work, and you wouldn't believe how much of the information that they're working with. It's administration is important, right? In their mind, administration is important in terms of building the program.
And they've had problems, right? They've had problems.
Yeah,
it hasn't stopped their football development, by the way. They've had administrative problems, both, maybe less for the men team, but for the women team quite a bit, like a lot of administration. But they're progressing. The women team is winning and the men's team is winning.
Well, that's what checks and balances is about, right? When you have challenges, you have things in place that could sort it out. I think I lost my
Let's pivot to the Jamaica coach. I'm gonna read his resume. We can talk about him. So this is Steve McClaren, people. Born May 3rd, 1961. Began his coaching career at Oxford United before joining Derby County in 95. So he's been coaching at a decent level for almost 30 years, or about 30 years. Was hired by Man U in 99 as Brian Kidd's replacement, supporting Alex Ferguson, assistant manager. He held that position for 2 years until he was hired by manager of Middlesbrough. And during his tenure at Middlesbrough, he won their first major trophy, the League Cup in 2004. By the way, Arsenal have never won the League Cup. They were also UEFA Runners-Up Cup in 2006. I started to throw that in there because we have never won it. Last time we came close, we lost to Birmingham or somebody, West Brom, one of those teams. They were also UEFA Cup runners-up in 2006. He was appointed manager of England in August 2006, but he was dismissed a year later after England failed to qualify for Euro 2008. By the way, England used to miss World Cups and Euros. They never always were at the top like they are today. And they changed their football, by the way. Anyway, his reason for dismissal with England was his player selection and tactics being subject to a lot of media criticism. And in England, the media can fire you. In fact, no, in England, the media fires you a lot of times. I think it's just the fans. The media build up fans' perspective so much that it becomes intolerable for administrators or for owners of their teams. In 2008, McLaren was appointed manager of Dutch club 20, whatever you call it, 20, with whom he won the club's first ever Eredivisie championship in 2010. He then left and took over Wolfsburg in Germany, but was dismissed mid-season, due to poor results. After a short spell at manager of Nottingham Forest, he returned to 20 in 2012. His second stint was not as successful and resigned in 2013. He returned to Derby, where he was before, later that year, led the club to the playoffs in 2013-2014, but failed to win promotion, and he was dismissed in 2015. He was then appointed head of Newcastle United, but was dismissed after less than a year after winning only 6 of his 28 Premier League matches in charge. He had a second spell at Derby manager from 2016 October to March 2017. And in 2018, he was appointed manager of Queen's Park Rangers before being dismissed in 2019. He more recently worked at Man U as an assistant to Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag is actually changing his coaching staff, and that may be one of the reasons why he decided to move on. And he's now coach of the Reggae Boyz. So a mixed career, I would say. Some success at 20, a little bit at Middlesbrough. But it's been a mixed career, frankly. Up and down career in some respects. But he coached England, short period of time. He's coaching Holland. He's coaching Germany. He's coaching England. So you can see he's well-rounded as a coach. Right? It's not me trying to sell him to anyone, just giving you his background and what his resume basically says. So he does have a lot of experience coaching. It's my understanding that the English-based players in the team are supportive of him as a manager. That's my understanding. So that's also a good thing. And I would also think that given he's based in England, he worked at Man U, he should have some insight in the players across the Premier League or even the Championship, frankly, who may have the ability that he requires or needs to supply or to supplement the team, to improve the team. You would expect so, right? Or would be a good recruiter. I always said Algrimson was a good recruiter, but I was informed by Claudine and others that I'm off on that. Because he brought players came in under Algrimson, but the perspective is that Algrimson didn't recruit those players. Now, there are other players out there, even they come in under McLaren, that has been in the pipeline for a while. We all know who they are. The question is, would he be able to get any new players, like a Morgan Gibbs-White, for example, right? A Dwight McNeil, two players who I actually think would be great additions to the team. I know we have people like Amari Hutchinson who have been on the cusp and vacillating about whether they should join. But I think there are a number of players out there who have Jamaican heritage who could help the team and improve the team. And hopefully that he can bring those because he's in England. Close proximity. I know Rudolph said they want the person to be in Jamaica and live in Jamaica, but I'm sure he wants to control the travel budget. But he's just going to England to go source players. So if he's going home, he can always say sourcing players, and hopefully he's doing so. Your view, Andre?
You're trying to put me in harm's way.
Hey, no harm. You either like it or you don't.
No, he's the coach that has been selected. And look, we always have to recognize that in this space, all of the expectation of that coach, if you're in this platform and you set an expectation for that coach, that's your expectation, right? And he may or may not meet it. So he's the coach at the moment, and I think he hasn't done a press conference as yet in Jamaica. Is he in Jamaica at the moment?
I don't think so, but I think he's going there.
Yeah, he's got a good CV, right? He has a good CV. The job that he's given to do, the question becomes, I think there's a lot of emphasis being placed on, well, would the players respect this individual or would the players respect that individual? I think the entire infrastructure is going to determine who the player respects. Because I know some people that is arguing adamantly that Tapper Whitmore could have done the job for the team. That's not my opinion. That's their opinion. And there are some that are arguing that the players wouldn't respect him. He doesn't have the profile, right? I think if everything is set up properly, if the coach can do the job, whether or not he's from England or whatever the case may be, the players should respect him because he's the coach, right? How he handles himself is what we're going to have to look at. So I think as far as this coach is concerned, we just got to wait and see. We got to wait and see what he does. He's coming into a space where he doesn't really know. We were just talking about Dwight and his how familiar he is with CONCACAF. I don't think this coach is familiar with CONCACAF in any way at all. So he's coming into a new space. He's coming into a space with players that he it'd be easier for them to get onto the same page because they're coming out essentially from the same culture, most of them. But he's coming into a space that is going to be completely different to what he's accustomed to. Working at Manchester United or working with the English FA, and it's going to be completely different to what is expected in the Caribbean. And maybe he knows, maybe he can adapt because he's the one that's going to have to adapt. He's not going to have the pitches that he's accustomed to. There's a lot of things that's going to be different. Right? So
but he said he worked with Jamaica when he was at FIFA, right?
Say that again?
He said he worked with Jamaica.
But
some engagement with Jamaica when he was at FIFA.
That probably is more administrative than anything else, right? That's different to being in Jamaica and trying to prepare a team to. It's different. He did say that as a FIFA technical advisor, I think it was. So it means that he probably was sharing technical information with the federation. So we got to wait and see. We don't know how it's all going to come together. Right? The players, if he's going to have the players' respect just from Jump Street because of who he is and what he's been through, that is a good thing. And he's just got to keep it. He's got to maintain it, and then he's got to work with everything else around because it's not just about the players. It's not just about the players.
So he must be taking a pay cut. He must be taking a pay cut.
Well, not necessarily, and that's one we'd never know.
No. It wasn't a question.
Mm-hmm.
He's taking a pay cut.
It wasn't a question. Okay.
Let me just say this. He's taking a pay cut. He's taking a pay cut. So look, some people want to be in charge, right? His role probably got reduced because they brought in Van Nistelrooy and they brought in another player. So his role probably got reduced, and he's probably like, you know what? I don't need this.
Right.
I could go retire, go coach a team, and go to the World Cup.
Hey, we coach a team in the Caribbean. You get access to the beach. He can eat fresh fish. He can eat fresh fish when the day come.
You'd have to work, sweat every day.
Yeah, it's an attractive job, and I'm sure he's happy to do it. But it's going to be. It can be. We don't know for sure. It can be because maybe the people in charge is probably going to do a little bit of adapting to based on the last experience that they had. Maybe they're going to change some things because at the end of the day, I've said this before, it will be a travesty if this team does not go to the World Cup.
So Big D says, Nigeria offered him $2 million, but he turned him down. Was it $2 million Nigerian dollars or $2 million? I heard it's $2 million US dollars. What dollars? Because Nigeria is different, you know.
One of the things that we have to consider in these kind of situations, I mean, you never know. Adidas could pay part of the salary. Sometimes these deals get put into, they get dealt with in JFF play part, Adidas play part.
That's true.
And they're able to meet his needs, So, but this is an opportunity for him, a chance to coach at a World Cup. As he said in one of his press releases, at this stage of his career is a good opportunity for him. So, I'm sure he's going to give it his best shot. He's going to deal with the challenges. At his age, he's 63 years old?
Yeah, 63. Just turned 63 not too long ago. Yeah,
but the experience that he have, he's gonna be able to navigate some of those hurdles that he's going to encounter. Let
me just say this, Andre, which is people. I don't think it's about the money why he's come to coach Jamaica. People don't seem to understand this. Not about them. The man probably make a ton of money during his lifetime.
Yeah.
When he coached at all that level for so many years, coaching at Man U, back at Man U, he's made money, right? He's not being unemployed per se. He seems to have a sequence of jobs. He changed jobs quite a bit. He probably got a lot of buyouts because when you get fired early, people, there's a lot of buyouts happening. A lot of buyouts. So he's not just leaving job. He signed 2-year contract. He worked for a year. He still get paid for the other year, unless there's a contractual restriction on him going to another team. So I don't think it's money. I think it's different going to Nigeria versus Jamaica. Trust me. It's different going to Nigeria versus Jamaica. Jamaica is a much more attractive proposition. I'll tell you that, given what I've heard. But anyway, the Jamaica FA may be much easier to deal with than
you know how it goes, right? If you're going to say that to somebody and want them to believe that, you have to provide the proof, right?
Yeah. But what I've heard about Nigeria Just traveling to, I don't want to get into Nigeria. I don't want to beat Nigeria, but I've had people go to Nigeria and come and tell me, say, never again. We're not going there again. Much less go coach there and live there. Being on the beach in Jamaica, in a villa someplace, it ain't a bad life. Going to the beach in Trinidad with Jamaica, it's not a bad life. Not a bad life. So, yeah. And it's England, too. You've probably been around a lot of Jamaicans in England. Quite a bit of them. No doubt about that. So, yeah. You'd be surprised when you go to England how much West Indian food is in England. Regular food, more than it was in the US at one point. Right? It's an English colony, even though Nigeria is in a sense, but it's a different way of operating.
Yeah, he's probably fed up of that cool, wet evenings, mornings.
Yeah, who wants to be in England where you have 2 months of summer?
Yeah.
I'm surprised people don't move. Like everybody there will run out when it comes to summer. They all going someplace else for what they call it holidays. They don't call it vacation. They want to go away for a month, 2 months for holidays. There's a reason. They don't get sun.
Yeah, it's
Jamaica is probably easier to get the World Cup than Trinidad. Well, in this time, like this for this World Cup, yes, it's probably easier for Jamaica. I would agree with that one. Even though nothing is easy, but it's easier. It's probably easier.
You know, as a coach, it would be a good project for him, right?
I think Jamaica's a very good project for him, actually.
Yeah.
I think if he knows this.
The resources are there.
Huh?
The resources are there from a player perspective.
Yeah. Go recruit. Go recruit.
It sounds like financially, the federation is in a good place because of the qualifications and whatever the case may be. So I think the biggest challenge would be to get the fans on board, right? Look, I told you. Let me just share with you. There's several of these that I'm reading, so I might have mixed up, the dates and some of them because I have Japan, France, Germany. Somebody just give me access to the documents. But
so you're reading everybody's futuristic plans.
When you look at Spain, for example, right, and they have a section called the action plan, and the number one thing on the list is good governance. All right, good governance. Review.
Can you repeat that? Because I didn't hear you well. Can you repeat that again? The number one action plan is
good governance. Right?
It wasn't players. It wasn't coach. It was good governance.
Yeah, good governance.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, and the first bullet point is review of good governance regulations and the code of ethics.
Because it probably ties back to their situation with the women's team too.
Yeah,
that probably also informs that decision.
Yeah. To define the relationship with public bodies, right? To elaborate and publish their annual accounts. And they're just to define the relationship with stakeholders and the members of the federation. So, I mean, these are things that is important to success, right? Without these things, if you don't have them in place and functioning properly, it's difficult to have success. When they did the press release in Trinidad recently, what the president said, in my opinion, he said all the right things, right? They need a leader. They need to develop the relationship with the business community, the stakeholders. It's something that some of us understand a long time now. And if he feels that he needs a bigger personality, whatever the case may be, to do that's his opinion. But at least that conversation is taking place. At least there's a realization that cannot, because the truth is, the qualification for the World Cup for Trinidad, it seems as though Angus was trying to do it by himself, like he didn't have the support to do it, right? It seemed like he was trying to do it by himself, and which anybody would understand that it's unfair to him. You need the entire country to be behind it. So leadership is the number one thing that I think is necessary. Good leadership.
So I would say this actually, which is, even though I can say I'm a proponent of McLaren, I'm going to support the coach because he's the coach, right? Whether or not I believe he should be the person we should hire, it doesn't matter. Decision being made. He's the coach, so we should all the fans, and no matter what your perspective is, should support the coach until otherwise. So if you don't get successful, you know that goes. If you're successful, we should be on the bandwagon. You hear me talk about K&H football when you start playing some good football, because good football most time bring you a good result. No one to tell you otherwise. But we should support the coach because he's now the coach. That's, he's going to work with the team. Let's hope he does a great job, because we all want the Jamaicans and the Trinidad of the world to go to the World Cup. So people should support Dwight Yorke if he's the manager of Trinidad, and they should support McLaren as the manager of Jamaica. And I'm sure he's coming with an open mind and with a view that this is not a monetary thing while I'm here. I'm here to qualify the team. And I'm sure he's much more familiar with these players than Hargreaves may have been, given that a lot of them live in the country that he lives in. He probably coached some of the players, especially some of those other players. Not necessarily coach them, but play against them, familiar with them. So my expectation is he should know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and should also know what the team needs, because I would hope part of the interview process is he's assessing, he can talk to how the team played, what the players' skill sets are, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, and be able to figure out what he needs to supplement this team to make it one of the better teams in the region and one that can qualify for the World Cup. And I'm sure Yorke will do the same for Trinidad.
Is Conrad confirming? Does he have inside information?
There's no secret in Jamaica, so we know that. As I said before, I heard McLaren's name 3.5 weeks ago. For
real.
3.5 weeks ago, I heard McLaren's name as the person, not as one of the. I heard of him as a person. So it wasn't as if I heard of him as, and I didn't say anything about channel.
Right?
And people want to beat me like Kranky. That's not, you didn't know. And I'm telling you, I was told about McLaren 3.5 weeks ago. Here's what I was told. And my understanding was players knew, players like him, supportive of him, think it's a good situation for him to be part of the team, right? And so he got the job. And if the players want the coach, and the coach has pedigree, then sometimes you have to acquiesce to those situations to say, you know what? Hopefully this works, because the player it's important for the players, especially big name players, to respect the coach.
So Upbeat is asking an interesting question here, right? Mexico, USA, Jamaica, and Trinidad all need coaches. What is going on? I find that to be a good question.
It's a very good question.
Are they all panicking?
I don't know. Look, I think the US has an oversized ego. I'll say that when it comes to just life in general. They expect to win everything. They've been investing in the football for a while now, and they're thinking we have to have somebody as the coach who equates to our ambition and the profile that we have and the sponsorship we want to generate and the players that we have given they're playing. And the coach we have, even though he played for the US and is a good coach, he doesn't have that profile. So I'm sure they probably went to Klopp, and Klopp says, I'm on vacation. I'm not taking any job. They're going to get a big name coach.
Well,
Mexico changed coach. We change our clothes.
Yeah, Mexico.
If you don't win a game, they like, you gotta go.
Yeah, if you don't win in Mexico, you gotta go. I think there might be a little bit of a panic in the US, because US hosting the World Cup. US believe, at least, well, I think I gotta qualify this. There have been some people for maybe a couple of decades now believe that the US can and should win the World Cup. Right. And so they're going to go into this one thinking the same way. So I think there could be a little bit of a panic there. The question becomes whether or not the group of players that they have, there's an argument by the previous group of players, guys like Lalas and them, is saying that the coach have been able to get the best out of those players. And that may be true. So finding a coach that can get the best out of them is going to be, they did Klinsmann in the past, and I'm not so sure if
that didn't work.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I'm not sure if the consensus is that work. So now it's going to be even more complicated, because having somebody, I think Patrick, for me, I thought he was a good fit for Trinidad, but I think he'd be a good fit for the US. He coached here in the MLS. He have a background. He understands the culture a little bit. So I think and he has a great personality. So he can be a good fit there. But they're going to come up with something. If it's one thing we know, they're going to come up with something that they're going to make them competitive in the end. So
it's amazing that one is so eloquent, being so young. It's really interesting. Actually,
the standard of the players is not high anymore. Yeah, Mexico is going through that cycle that everybody goes through. They've been struggling to put together a group of players. To,
well, they're not exporting players like they used to. You think about the players they have overseas. It's not like in the days when the Sanchez of the days when they were exporting, right? And what's his name from Man U? They had players at big teams. They don't have that as much anymore.
Yeah, they don't have that as much anymore. And I would encourage you to watch the League Cup is going on here. The Mexican teams and the MLS teams are playing in competition, and sometimes you watch the Mexican teams and you feel like they don't want to defend, right? They don't play with the same with what you're accustomed, like what you see in the national teams of the past. So, but the under 20 qualified for the World Cup, right? So there's something is still happening while they're going through a cycle. They're still good enough to qualify out the CONCACAF for these tournaments.
Here's what they're struggling with. So they have made almost every single World Cup apart from maybe one, I would think, and they still haven't passed the round of 16.
And they still haven't passed you on. Look, the World Cup is not an easy competition.
But I'm just saying, for a country with so much football pedigree, over 100 million people, I think they're struggling with that, right? And they play good football. It's not like they go there and get destroyed. They play good football.
Yeah, but think about it. FIFA has about 200
20 plus members, yeah.
Right? And only, in this round, they're going to be 48? But only 32 gets to go to the World Cup every 4 years. And we've only had 8 different countries that have won it. It's not an easy competition. So I think to hold that against them, the fact that they're showing up all the time, I think that's good. They would think hopefully they'd get a chance to win it.
It's interesting. Think about it. The countries in this region with the biggest population size, take Costa Rica, are the ones who get to go to the World Cup most years nowadays. US, Mexico, and Canada. Is that because of resourcing? Is that because of population size? What is it because of?
Look, the US, I can speak for the US because the US take this thing very seriously, and they work towards getting outcomes. I mean, look at what they've done with the MLS, for example, since '96, right? I just told you earlier on that they don't know when the league is going to start back in Trinidad. Right, the MLS, in terms of revenue, 100 million in transfer money for the first time this window. Right, the league is growing, it's getting better. They're selling players, they're buying players. The league is competitive, so they take this very seriously. They coaching education, they're always ramping it up. And they're fighting to be among the very best. They're sending players overseas, players that they develop here, they're sending to clubs overseas. They're looking for anybody that is born outside, that is playing at a club somewhere that could represent the country if they're good enough.
Oh, they don't have any rejects?
They leave it. Look.
No, they don't have any rejects. They're pursuing rejects?
They wouldn't call them that. They look, and they work together. Balogun, for example, he played here and was, I think he spent some summertime here, and he was training at one of the MLS clubs, and he's a national team player, right? And
they chased him for 2 years.
So they work together. They do have the pulling and tugging at times, but not in the same way as we have it in the region, right? A player that plays for the U.S. national team needs somewhere to train. He wouldn't have a hard time finding that. He wouldn't have a hard time finding that at all. And I saw him, tweeting online or on Instagram saying how well he was treated at the club, and he was thanking them and whatever the case may be. So they take the football serious. And they're gonna be on top of CONCACAF for a long time.
I mean, the amount of football played in this country is ridiculous. And the resources they're pouring into it, right?
Yeah.
Because parents get involved. This is not where you just send a kid to go play football so they get out of the way. Yep. Parents get involved. They go to the games. They spend money. So, yeah. Good night. Who am I speaking to?
Yes. Fourth, if you big up yourself, Kranky, and Andrew, big up yourself as well.
Yes, sir.
You always seem to have a lot of noise in the background. I mean, do you work in a factory?
No, I'm outside.
Are you on the road running from somebody? Which one is it?
No, I'm standing outside.
Are you standing outside? Okay.
I cannot tell the people to stop driving.
Are you on punishment?
No.
Okay.
Andre,
okay.
Yes,
if you
sir.
don't want somebody fired on Trinidad, I'm available.
Yeah, available.
My CV.
All right, send your CV.
If you want somebody to do what?
The job down Trinidad.
Yeah, he wants the head coach. Yeah.
You're available to do what? 50-50?
Coach the team.
You don't have any kiddie team that he has in Trinidad. You don't have any 2-year-olds.
Listen.
They're in the nursery. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Listen, I have to start from the kindergarten international team that I will start there. But listen, Kranky, as it pertains to Mexico, right? I think one thing that Jose Mourinho and a couple other managers always said, it comes down to football heritage, as good as Mexico, as history shows, they're quite a good nation in football, right? When it comes to the World Cup stage, I just feel like you have many other countries out there with football heritage, and in terms of they just have better quality players that they do produce compared to Mexico. So, despite them not passing the round of 16, I don't think it's a bad thing for them in a sense. I'm sure eventually it will come, but it will come when they start to produce players at a certain level that can get them past that point. You know what I'm saying? And as Andre said, you only have 8 countries who have won the World Cup. Teams like Italy, England, Brazil, Germany, Argentina, France. Who else am I leaving out? Spain, right? So I think.
So how do you explain the Moroccos of the world then?
No, but the Moroccos of the world. Okay, but that's a one-off situation. You'll always have those teams that they end up in a one-off situation where they go to the semi-final, etc. But can Morocco do that for the next 2, 3, 4 World Cups?
No, the point I'm making is that when you make almost every single World Cup, your citizens and your fans expect you to progress to a certain point, right?
Well, when you play in CONCACAF and you're Mexico, America, and Canada to an extent, it's almost like a guarantee to make it to a World Cup, but it doesn't mean that you're good enough to pass the round of 16. You know what I'm saying? So
you're saying Jamaica and Trinidad making it easy for Mexico, Canada, the US, and Costa Rica to get to the World Cup?
No, if Jamaica from 1998 till now was supposed to go to every World Cup, I mean, my own assessment for us to pass the round of 16 would be whether or not we have a team to beat who is in front of us to get to the quarterfinal. You know what I'm saying? No, when it comes to the round of 16, you have teams that more than likely are way better than you, especially when you're in Mexico or America, etc., etc. So it's a very hard ask for Mexico to just the fans should just be like, oh, they should just automatically advance to the quarterfinal. No, I don't think it works like that. Despite Mexico being a great nation in football, I've never seen Mexico as like this powerhouse against the other international teams across the globe.
No, look, Mexico has played good football. Even when they don't pass the round of 16, they still play good football. They just can't get over that hurdle to get to the final 8, to get to the quarterfinals. But I don't think their position in the world is what it used to be. At least in this region, it has been, right? The U.S. has surpassed them. And it's reflected in how the U.S. has keep winning the Copa, not the Copa, but the Gold Cup or under 20. The U.S. has been dominant in those competitions for the last 4 or 5 years. Mexico was always with them there, beating them. And the pivot was made and Mexico hasn't recovered.
Yeah. I agree with that. The United States in the past 5 or 6 years, they've dominated in probably all levels, you know what I'm saying? And in terms of exporting players, they're doing that more and more compared to a Mexico. Although I don't think the players that they're exporting are really good players to a certain extent. I think they're just average and a little bit above, right? I think the only shining light is a Pulisic, barring injuries. But other than that, still, in terms of the United States and this coaching thing, right? Obviously, it's the American culture that the Americans possess as to why they feel so entitled to win everything. That's how sports is for Americans. So, I mean, I think I don't know if they'll ever get over that bump. I think until they find a way to work around that entitlement, then the football in America will progress. You know what I'm saying? But once they have that sense of entitlement, it can be good enough, Kranky. Don't get me wrong, it can be good enough because you always want to be the best, right? You always want to beat the best. But it can also cost you in terms of when you don't have patience with a program, then nothing will come to fruition naturally. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So
Yeah,
50-50,
just
you have 2 more minutes because I'm closing this on at 8 because I have a 9 o'clock show. I haven't seen you on my 9 o'clock show yet because you
no,
only
the
want to
thing
talk
with
sports.
politics now,
I haven't seen your 9 o'clock show. I know you're young, but you should also think about your community and get
no,
involved.
that's the
Yes.
political one.
Yes.
No, you see the politics one now. I know about the politics now, but just rather can I reserve my opinion now for the public platform. I have to
Okay.
do some assessment, and when I feel confident enough, I will.
Oh, so you have to be.
But
So
I
you're
listen,
confident
I
about
just
your
don't
sporting
comment.
acumen.
Yeah, in terms of the
Okay.
politics now, I'm
Yeah.
there now, but my support lies elsewhere, and I have to be very careful in terms of what publicly support. I'm not nobody come cancel me, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't have
But
the same caution that you do. But
yeah,
anyway,
retired now.
I
I'm just
have to
starting
leave
life.
you soon because we only have 50 minutes left. One other people call in.
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
it
the
for
call
me.
as
But
usual. And
that's it.
but before you go though, 1 minute. What's your
Yeah.
view on McLaren before you go? Just two seconds.
Listen, Stephen McClaren, I'll just have to give him a chance before I can make any judgment. I hear some people refer to him as a dinosaur in football. I think it's a bit unfair. So until he kicks the first ball or the team kicks the first ball, and then I'll have a better assessment of the coach.
Fair enough. Fair point. 50-50. Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful evening.
Big up yourself.
And continue good luck with your program. Because I do watch you a few times, and even though your thumbnails are interesting. But have a good evening.
Thank you. Andre, big up yourself.
Yeah. Okay, boss. Kranky,
That was 50-50, 4-3-3. A lot of names. Go ahead.
Footballers. There's a lot of talk about the coach's profile and all of that stuff, and I happen to think that in this situation, the leadership quality would probably going to be the most important thing. And I hate to use this example, but it's probably the best example out there. Scaloni. You know who he coached before he coached Argentina?
No.
Right? He doesn't have a big CV. He have a good group of players, for sure. And I don't know if you could remember when the public wasn't embracing Messi in time gone by.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that, he got the job, and the first thing he did is he met with Messi and said, what do you need? You understand what I'm saying? That ability to make players feel wanted and to lead in a way that it's not about you, right? So I think if you can have all the tactical acumen in the world, if you don't have good leadership qualities to work with those type of players, I think it's failure. It's going to fail. So that's going to be the biggest thing. And I think with the new coach for Trinidad and for Jamaica, more so for Jamaica because Jamaica have more players playing at the highest level.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you need a coach who the player's going to respect. And I'm sure a lot of players respect McLaren, given that he's worked with some big clubs, right? Managed a lot of clubs, managed England, worked at Man U multiple times. Man U must see something in him to bring him back after he worked a long time ago with Ferguson, right? They brought him in to help coach. Rudolph did say he wanted someone who can manage and coach, not just manage. Because there are a lot of managers who just stand up on the sideline and give direction. He wants somebody who can show players what they should be doing, how they should be doing it, why they should be doing it. So I think it's not the worst appointment.
Oh, I mean, he's a young guy. He's 63 years old. I see some people referring to him as old and that kind of stuff, but he's a young guy, 63.
Well, that's how young people are. Really young people think you're old if you're over 60, but they...
Yeah, but, people start new careers at that age and even older,
that's true.
So I think it's,
yours truly started YouTube at an advanced age.
Right, at an advanced age.
And not doing well, by the way. Struggling. Maybe hope McLaren doesn't struggle like I'm struggling. I hope McLaren does better.
You just had to put in some more hours, man. You don't put in enough.
Put in more hours.
On
if
YouTube,
I put in more hours, I'll pass out. I'm not putting any more hours.
When people are breaking news, you mixing music.
See, I don't go with the breaking news stuff. I'm not a breaking news person.
Well, those guys are putting in the hours when
I see them running when breaking news. They are running to throw out a 10-minute video. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do more 10-minute videos, but I'm not sure I'm a breaking news person. People say he's old wanted Coley. Yeah, but Coley's not a proven. Coley hasn't had his experience, right? There's a lot to be said for a coach who has been there, done that, and therefore players, and you know how players are, they're gonna look at your CV and who you've engaged with, and they're gonna give you respect based on what you've accomplished. Now you can come in and stamp your authority, but as Rudolphs and the JFF said, they just want somebody to get into the World Cup, and that's why he has a 2-year contract. He didn't have a he don't have a 3-year contract.
Well, I was gonna mention that earlier. It's wise to give him a 2-year contract. Because that's his mandate, right, to get the team to the World Cup, and then but most of the conversations is not going beyond that, right? Is it? Do you hear conversations that talk about beyond? It almost feels like if the World Cup doesn't happen, then everything falls down. It almost feels that way.
Yeah, it's like you put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah.
And if something happened, that basket break, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I thought it should be a combination in terms of I get a coach in, the coach is going to leave an imprint on the country when he leaves, but also he's going to get me to the World Cup and do okay in the World Cup. I mean, because it's hard to do great in the World Cup, right? We just talked about Mexico, but he's going to leave his imprint, right? He's going to, when he walks away, we're just not going to see a World Cup qualification. We're going to see even some footballing principles and philosophy and style of play coming out of it that the JVF can leverage and effect when he leaves, and we're not hearing that. All we're hearing is his only job is to make the World Cup. Now, they're doing other things, supposedly with other people. The question, who are those persons? And are they the right people? That's the question. So we'll see how that materializes.
Only time will tell. And all we can do is hope that it goes well for both Jamaica and for Trinidad and Tobago, and we get a chance for you all to show up. I think both fan base doesn't really, in Trinidad lately, you've seen quite a few thousand show up. When Trinidad went to the World Cup in 2006, there was quite a bit of people there, but I don't think they would ever be able to produce the numbers like some of those other countries do.
Yeah, Duckland always has an adverse opinion on certain things. Nobody said that's what he's supposed to do, Duckland. We said we hope they can leverage him to help effect some of these things, Duckland. As usual, you don't listen, you just write. And you and I have this contentious situation where you're just trying to be Mr. Contra. Nobody said the coach is going to be the one who effect it. In fact, if it was part of his contract, he could do so. Right? If it was part of his contract, he could do so. So nobody's saying we know he's hired just to do XYZ. Coaches, international coaches, have time on their hands to do other things. Trust me. They're not club coaches who are going to be there 24/7. They have windows they're working, and they do things within windows.
But I don't understand what he means, football and principles. I wish
he's just saying he shouldn't be involved in football and philosophy or style of play. He should just go coach the national team, win, and move forward.
But he's using the word principles. Principles in football have a particular meaning.
I think he's talking about philosophies. What's the philosophy you employ? How do you work with people outside the national team? He's saying that's not the coach's duty. It depends on what the contract says, though.
I wish you could elaborate and give that some context, because football and principles are the job of the coach. I mean, that doesn't. I don't comprehend that.
Duckland is always a contrarian. It's fine. Duckland, Mr. Mike Yardy, media, whatever. They're individuals who are contrarians. It's fine. We can't always follow the crowd.
Probably. People acting like he has to coach and play center back. As long as his mind is good and he's in touch with what's happening in football, no coach is too old. 62 is not old. Okay, that's what he means by that. Okay, you had a coach and play center back. Okay. No, that's for low on those guys.
So Henry's saying Coley would not have to be respected if he was chosen. The players would think Jamaica was not serious. Yeah, I mean, look, he has the academic accomplishment. The question is, does he have the practical experience? I think the players who are there, some of these are senior players, the Antonios, they've been around for a while. The Pinnocks, they've been around for a while. They've been through they want somebody they can respect, who's a father figure, probably, who's going to guide them and know how to deal with them and engage them, who's been there, done that. So I'm not going to beat the coach. It's not who I would have hired, but he's here. We should support him.
I mean, there's no reason to. There's no reason to. He hasn't done anything as yet. He's who the authorities chose to be the coach of the national team, and right now he just needs to be supported by everyone, because if you don't support him, that doesn't mean he's going to change.
Yeah, and support doesn't mean sitting in your living room and don't go to games. That's another thing too. We're gonna talk about that on future shows, which is support doesn't mean go in YouTube and talk. Support mean actually support with your dollars, with your time, with your acquisition of merchandise. I know some people feel that because they're saying you're supporting the JFF, but you're supporting your football team also. If it doesn't work out, you can always retract what you're doing, but right now you should just support.
Do you know when he's going to be unveiling a press conference? Do you know? No,
I haven't heard. I know it's supposed to finish up at Man U. Someone mentioned it earlier. I had read it before actually. So this is the last call for the evening. I have 4 minutes left before 8 o'clock, and I'm closing down at 8. Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
I don't need more than that, Kranky. This is Dukeland. What's up?
Oh, Dukeland, Mr. Contrarian. Good evening.
Yeah, exactly. Good evening. Good evening, Andre.
Yes,
How are
sir.
things, man?
You doing good?
Oh, good. Very good.
So, Mr. Contrary, what do you have to say, Mr. Contrary?
Well, I mean, you were making comments about what I posted.
Yes. Okay.
So I call to elaborate a little bit more.
All right, please do.
That I think we're going about it the wrong way in Jamaica, with expecting too much from the coach.
Okay.
And it doesn't happen to every coach. Why nobody ever said we want Tapa to instill principles and philosophies? If Kohli got the job,
Can I answer that? Because we only have 3 minutes left.
Hold on, Kranky, before you answer. What do you mean by principles?
Style of play. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know why? I don't know. Actually, because we we asking for. Sorry.
So
there's a reason why we know why. We know why. We know why. We know why.
We know why. Deep down, we know why.
Yes, we know why.
So
when you come with certain pedigree, we have certain expectation.
So
exactly.
if you mean style of play, right? Who should be responsible for the style of play?
I believe that should rest not with somebody who is transient passing through. I think that should rest with the JFF, more specifically the technical director.
Okay.
Who's that person? Who's that person?
Hold on. The technical director
the technical director.
Okay, the technical director is only responsible for youth football. He has no leverage over the senior team coach. Now, it would be nice if they have a relationship and work together, because the under 20 players and whatever the case may be is being prepared to go into that space. But the technical director is not under his remit to have any responsibility over the head coach.
No, but I think the expectation.
My question is,
go ahead, Duckland. Go ahead.
My question is, where does style of play start from? It can't start at the senior team or rest only with the senior team. Certainly, it has to permeate through the football of the country.
Okay, that's a fair argument that you could have.
So the coach,
that goes to the youth team.
Yes. Yeah. So how I see it should happen is that Jamaica should develop. Look at our players, or even decide what style of play we want to adopt. And we select players that would fit that style, and we select coaches that would fit that style as well. But we're kind of doing it the opposite way. We're getting a coach with pedigree and hoping that they will teach us or impart something to us. And I think that is wrong.
It's interesting you're saying select players that fit that style of play as opposed to develop players. Look, the process for that is you decide how you want to play, and you're going to establish or develop the type of profiles that's required to play the kind of football that you want to play, and you're going to develop that. That's what countries like Spain do, right? They know how they want to play, and they work to develop the profile that they want, and every day they're working to get players to do the things that they want them to do, and that's why all the teams play the same way.
Yeah.
All the teams play
And
the same way.
I don't, Andre, I doubt very highly that Spain is looking at the head coach and says, give us a style of play.
No,
I don't think that happens anywhere except probably Jamaica.
I'm not suggesting that. No, I'm not suggesting that.
No, I don't think it's what we're saying, actually. What we're saying is that, look, you need to incorporate intellect from various sources to inform your view about your direction of travel, right? So if you bring in a coach who's very experienced, you can have discussion with the coach about, what you're trying to do strategically and get their input, right? But as you've been talking about, which is the country needs to develop philosophy and style of play, and we don't have one. We keep talking about athleticism. I don't know what it have to do with a slice of bread. Because I don't see that athleticism being, if you don't have the ball, we're going to use the athleticism to do. I don't know what you're going to do if you don't have the ball. I've been saying this 24/7.
To chase the ball.
Yeah, well, we have been chasing the ball and not catching it.
Yeah.
It's been escaping us. So
yeah,
I don't know
which and I believe that Hal Grimson was unfairly treated because of things like these as well, because we don't have a style of play or a definite style of play. And when he selects a style of play, we say he's not playing the way we want to play. I think we should be determining how we want to play officially.
You need to say that different.
And then
the way Kranky wanted him to play.
Well, what do you mean?
There you go.
No. I thought the K&H football just is like watching paint dry. Here's what people don't understand. Here's what people don't understand with football, people. Because everybody I hear some YouTuber the other saying, you don't care how them win. You just want to win and give it a line. Yeah, we all want to win. But don't bore me to death. At some point, I'm going to watch something else. At some point, I'm going to turn off my TV. We are people, Caribbean people are people with style and fashion, as them say. Right? And style of play and system of play and position football is winning football. I don't think why people think there's something that's where these things don't align. They're aligned.
Yeah.
It is winning football. So why wouldn't you adopt something that's winning football, leverage the other attributes you have, which are differentiators, marry that with the possession football, and you become world beaters. Spain has did that with their wingers, right? Spain don't have those dynamic wingers. They have two people now who are diverse, who are part of their team, who's providing that dynamic on the width, and they dominate the middle of the park. Why can't we think that way? We don't produce no midfielders. Neither Trinidad, nor Jamaica, no midfielders for year after year after year. There's a reason, because we're not technical enough. That's the most crowded part of the pitch.
But Kranky, if we were teaching these things at the schoolboy level, don't you think we would have gotten players that would play that way by now?
Yeah, but as you know, Duckland, you have to have the right coach teaching these people,
No, hold on a minute. And this is sometimes it's a difficult conversation. When you say teaching them at the schoolboy level, you're saying that players should be developed at the schoolboy?
No, that's not what he's saying. I'm gonna talk for him. What he's saying is that in Jamaica, schoolboy football permeates the country. So you have to deal with those kids because they go from the elementary school to the high school and they're gonna play schoolboy football. So even if you had academies, you still have to work with the high schools to instruct and inform those kids. It's not gonna change. No matter what we say or do, it ain't gonna change.
Look, and this is something that's very sensitive in the region. Schoolboy football, I don't care what country you go in, it's extracurricular activities.
I don't disagree.
In most countries. So you're very elite players. I don't know that they should be playing in that space. Maybe
fair enough. We can talk academies. Fair enough.
Yeah. But people, you have 2 more minutes because I have to shut this down. I have a 9 o'clock show and I have to go do some stuff when my 9 o'clock show starts. And by the way, Duckland, I don't see you on my 9 o'clock, Duckland. I know you're a very informed person. My 9 o'clock show is called Balanced View. It's about politics. Well, it's about everything except sports.
We're talking about American politics.
Well, we will talk Jamaica at some point as soon as I get more informed about Jamaica. I mean, I like that Jamaica politics and I'm going to do mix up. But anyway, I'm going to like that Jamaica. I'm get beaten. Like people, when we talk about the person who just left the penal facilities more recently. I don't want to have the conversation. Because I'm not gonna like my views.
See.
That's why I stay away from it. I'm not gonna like my views. Trust me. Not gonna like my views, and I will hate my views. But anyway,
All right, but I'll pass through.
all right,
pass
Duckland. I
through.
appreciate it. I
I'll pass.
appreciate it. Thanks for calling, sir.
All right. Yeah,
All right,
man, big up.
people.
right,
Good
take
night. Good night, Duckland. Andre, I appreciate you being here. Thanks again,
Yes.
as usual. It's good to come talk to football. Everyone in the chat, before you leave, hit the like button. And most importantly, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the conversation. Appreciate you. I will be back on Monday. Well, no. I will be doing some Olympic following, I'm calling it, at some point. I don't know when and where yet, but Olympics track and field start tomorrow. So I'll be doing some of that. But the normal 6 to 8, I may be doing next week. It depends on how Olympics is going. Right? But as usual, thanks for being here.
Drop
Bless
the
up.
link again. Drop the link again for your 9 o'clock show. Some people. Are
Oh,
asking
yeah.
for
You know, I should drop that link if I can find it. Yeah, I found it. Here's the link. I'm on at 9 p.m. it's called Balanced Views. Tonight's discussion is about the recent conversation that former President Trump had at the National Black Association conference, where people say he had a meltdown, he had a implosion, explosion. I actually think it wasn't as terrible as people think it is, and I'll explain why. I don't think it was the it's not unbalanced. It's only unbalanced view when it comes to Trump. But tonight I'm going to be balanced, people. I promise I'm going to be balanced when it comes to Trump. And even Trump I'm getting balanced with. Balanced in some respects, but not in all respects. But join me at 9 p.m. Balanced Views. I just dropped the link. I'm gonna go out playing my song so Andre can see that pass again, because it's very important for Andre to teach this kind of pass to his youngsters at Academy. These passes are not just they don't come from left field. They're passes made by exceptional passes of the ball. Okay.
And then give me the flowers already, man.
All right, people. Good night. I'm gonna go with my Kranky live song. Bless up.
Right,
Thanks for
take care,
being here. Good evening. Kranky life is the best to be now. For the best sports talk, and it's free, yo. Kranky life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Kranky life. Tell them, Kranky life. Heed them, Kranky life. Want them, Kranky life. From the courts to the field, we'll never lose because Kranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Kranky life. Tell them, Kranky life. Heed them, Kranky life. Want them, Kranky life. Kranky life where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Kranky life, get to know the name because Kranky analysis is never lame. Kranky life, give me my Kranky life. I want my Kranky life. Must have my Kranky life. Whether it's football or track and field, you know Kranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat, and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Kranky life. Tell them, Kranky life. Heed them, Kranky life. Want them, Kranky life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Kranky life. Tune into Kranky life. Like up Kranky life. Subscribe to Kranky life. Kranky life coming to you on weekdays. Kranky life sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Kranky will always bring the heat. Kranky life. Me say fi tell them Kranky life. Me say fi heed them Kranky life. On them Kranky life. Kranky life will be around. Kranky life is the best in town. Me say fi eat them, me say fi want them, me say fi eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Kranky life, Kranky life. Eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Kranky life, Kranky life. Eat them, want them, eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life. Kranky. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Heed. Want. Heed. Want. Heed them.